on digital radio, on the app, on your smart speaker, on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch.tv, and Facebook. The Sportscast. Expect the unexpected.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk presented by The Sportscast.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk with Victor Arocho and Byron Jones. And here's your host, Victor Arocho. Live from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk presented by The Sportscast. It's September 26, 2024. If you haven't yet, please subscribe in all our channels, YouTube, Twitch, X, and Apple Podcast. You can also listen to us on your smart speaker. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. We're also on online radio. You can visit our website, thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net, and also follow us on the Sportscast One and check out our app, the Sportscast for iOS. This is Santiago Leon. I am covering for Victor Arocho, who is on assignment, but we have Byron Jones. How you doing, Byron?
Oh, wonderful. Just finished football practice with the little guys, and here I am again, the other Jersey Boys show.
How's the weather up there?
It was like cloudy all day, like kind of cloudy. It's probably like about 70 degrees around here. So, it's supposed to be raining for the next 3 or 4 days, starting tomorrow. So, I get my galoshes and get ready to splash around with the kids playing football.
And we got David Heilmann, who has come into our preview fantasy show before. How you doing, David?
Doing well, man. Appreciate the invite.
What is the latest on the fantasy after 3 weeks? Are you surprised, or your numbers have been predicted correctly?
Oh yeah, everything's 100% correct, undefeated everywhere. Yeah, it's tough, man. The way this off seasons are condensed, the offenses were like extremely low, and it caused some chaos. We had a record of field goals the week after. And so touchdowns are down, fantasy points are down, and then of course injuries are all over the place. So it's been a fun 3 weeks trying to figure out who's real and who's not.
Yeah, definitely CMC is the big one that a lot of people have been saying, when is he coming back? I know the Niners kind of take their time with players to heal up, which is smart in a way. A few surprises, I will have to say. Alvin Kamara, David, having a good season so far. So I picked him. I didn't know he was going to be this good.
Yeah, I mean, you and I talked about it, and I like those immobile quarterbacks for my running backs. They will pass the ball to the running back, and then he's been good on the ground as well. But when you get them involved in the passing game, a target in the passing game is worth 1.5 times what a carry is worth, and that's why Alvin Kamara has been so good. I don't think he's ever gotten over 200 rushes, but he always makes a lot of damage on the receiving end.
Exactly. And we got Eric Winters, fresh off an Eagles win against the New Orleans Saints. How you doing, Eric?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing tonight?
You're feeling good about the Eagles, 2-1?
You know it. It wouldn't be no other way. Even if we were down, I still feel good about them. But except for Nick Sirianni doing crazy stuff like he do. But it is what it is at the end of the day. I'm not crying over spoiled milk. But I heard I can't even see his name. I can't see his name on here, but he was saying something about his fantasy football.
Yes.
I need
David
to jump into
that. Expert. One more time,
Eric.
Eric?
Okay.
Sorry.
I was asking him how do I jump into that? Like I want to start investing time into that because I got a couple of partners that do that at work, and when they win pretty big dollars, they put a couple of dollars behind them. I'm not going to expose how much they put into it, but they put a lot into it. But that's one thing that I do want to dabble into. How would I jump into that as a newbie for that?
Yeah, there's so many ways to play. I mean, you can do DFS, you can do best ball to where like you can do it now. I'd always say, start small when you're trying to figure it out. But I mean, just you can jump on Underdog and do a battle royale. You just draft a team. You don't have to pick the players who plays. You just draft the players you like, and then it sets the lineup for you based on the best players. Because obviously no one can join a league right now. The leagues are done, but you can do weekly contests still.
Right. Now he told me once I jump in, he said, I was talking to one of my friends because he damn near win, it seemed like every year, but he picked the same players and do a lot of research behind it.
Yeah.
He said, don't pick with your heart, pick with your head. Is that true?
That's what Dave tells
absolutely, man. I mean, last year, I'm a Giants fan, but I won a championship with CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, and Jalen Hurts. So,
okay.
Eric
Okay,
likes,
I appreciate that.
Hurts.
And I want to say, yeah, thank you for that, for Jalen Hurts and Saquon. I appreciate y'all. You done made my night.
All right.
You done made my night.
So let's first talk about the Giants, Byron. A huge win against Cleveland, 21-15. Byron Jones threw for 2 touchdown passes to rookie Malik Neighbors, and which was a highlight of the game. And the defense sacked Deshaun Watson. But what was your thoughts over the game this past weekend against Cleveland, Mr. Jones?
I think they played pretty well, considering, I like the fact that, Devin Singletary is, he gave up himself instead of scoring a touchdown, which he should have done, but he, giving up, being a team guy. I'm still waiting for Thibodeau to show up. Malik Neighbors is a beast, like, we expected him to be, but, I think they should get the tight end, a little bit more involved. With what's going on. And, up here, one of the big things that's going on is that supposedly Jalen Highlight, whatever his name is complaining about, a little playing time that he's not playing. And, the only time he's really getting in there, they throw a go route and that's it. Then you don't see him anymore. But, for the most part, I was pretty happy, with what, went on Sunday.
Mr. Heilmann, you're a Giants fan. What was your thoughts over the Giants' performance this past weekend?
Well, I mean, 5 seconds into the game, we were down 7 points. And so I was like, all right, it's just going to be another one of those weeks. Eric Gray fumbled the kickoff and they returned it for a touchdown, or it was not good. It was, but the defense really was impressive. The Giants defense all year has been really good in the red zone. It's a bend, don't break defense. And so they tighten up in the red zone. That's kind of what's been hanging their head on. And then this week, we really unleashed the pass rush. Giants have one of the best defensive lines in the league. I wouldn't say one of the best defenses, but defensive line. You have Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau. It's a pretty good front. And so they got after it with the Browns. And then, it's pretty condensed offense. It's basically Devin Singletary is getting about 90% of the running back touches. You saw little Tyrone Tracy this week. Eric Gray was in the doghouse after that fumble. And then it's Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors. Like, they're pretty much getting all the targets. So, yeah, I can understand Jalen Hyatt's upset. But targets are earned, and you got to earn those targets, Jalen.
Jones completed 24 of 34 passes for 236 yards as the Giants shook off a loss at Washington last week. Eric, what were your thoughts over the Giants win? Did you see the game?
I didn't watch the full game. I caught most of the highlights, but I'm a fan. I'm a fan of your guys' coach. I really like him, but I feel like the rookie receiver that you have,
Malik
he
Neighbors
could be the next, or maybe I don't know. Maybe I may be far fetched. Yeah, maybe I may be far fetched. He could be the next or better than Odell Beckham was, all because he doesn't have all of that glitz and glam behind him and some of that showmanship. He's just worried about the game itself because he's a dynamic athlete. I ain't gonna lie to you. And as long as you guys decide to keep Sexy Dexy around, your defensive line always gonna be the truth, no matter what. But like I said, Dable grew on me. Last year, he became my guy because he stayed in the trenches, when it was bad. The only thing that I have an issue with, and it's none of my business because it's above the field, is y'all GM. I didn't like the way that he handled Saquon Barkley thing, even though he landed on our doorstep. I still didn't like how he handled it because the simple fact that I watched him basically lie to your ownership, and your owner was basically saying like, "Listen, I can't have this happen this way," and he made it actually happen that way. That's the only problem I have with the Giants. So, as far as the game itself, it was wonderful to see. I'm always going back Dable. I'm a Dable fan. Not so much a Giants fan because that's our rival to a certain extent. Because it's always going to be the Birds, baby.
David, we haven't heard your opinion over the Hard Knocks segment of the GM for the Giants. You talked about Barkley, keeping Barkley or not. What were your thoughts over that Hard Knocks segment a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, what he's saying is smart. You want to take that money and invest it in, the trenches, Brian Burns and the offensive lineman. What they did 2 years ago was they screwed up and they put themselves in a bad spot because if they tag Daniel Jones and they extend Barkley, they're not in the situation they're in this offseason where he goes to the Birds. But they put themselves in that spot, and then you have such a bad offensive line. You don't invest in the running back. You invest in the offensive line, which I agree with. But, again, you don't put yourself in that spot. You don't you take care of Barkley, who's earned it. And Jones did one good year. So you say, okay, you get a franchise tag. You need to prove it. And then this year they're in a better spot. It's been tough. Daniel Jones not only had struggles, he's up and down. He's been good and he's been bad. He had that one good year, made the playoffs, but he's missed a lot of games, and that's a concern, for the quarterback.
Byron, you think this game for Cleveland is a confidence booster coming into versus the Cowboys?
Yeah, because going into the Cowboy game, everybody's hurt. You have two corners are out for the Giants. I think Adoree Jackson and Phillips. I think the rookie, he's out. Then you go to the Cowboys, they have two cornerbacks with them are out. So now it's just going to be a battle of attrition that, who's going to be able to line up a corners, to play against Malik Neighbors. And on the other side, CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks. And so it's going to be interesting. It's just going to be the survival of the fittest as far as with the corners, on Thursday night.
Yeah, this game is looming big for both teams, especially Cowboys after going 2 losses in a row. So it's a little bit more pressure on them. Do you think so, David?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks seeing Jaden Daniels crush it. All the Giants fans that loved the 2 or 3 wins we got with Tommy DeVito last year that cost us Jaden Daniels. It's kind of bittersweet when you get some of these wins when your team's struggling. With this game, obviously, I thought the Giants played well against Washington, well enough to win that game, and then they lost at the end.
It was close.
But the Browns was a surprise win. I really thought that defense was going to give that offensive line of Daniel Jones a hard time. Then we were down 7 early. So it was good to see the team do that. I mean, I never want to see my Giants lose. But it is, one of those like, what's this team going to really do this year? And so we'll see. Cowboys have been really tough for us the last few years.
Yeah, very tough. It might be different this year, though. It might be different, but we'll get to the prediction a little bit later in the show. Let's go into some back office news from the Giants. Giants work out former Texans 5th-round pick for a private workout. The 24-year-old Quintana went number 170 overall in the 22 NFL draft and has appeared in 16 games, recording 9 receptions and 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was released with an injury settlement earlier this month. In addition, Quintana, the Giants also worked out several other tight ends, Armani Rogers, Stephen Sullivan, and Joe Wilson. Hiring, your thoughts over these moves going on this week for the Giants?
They need to find a tight end that they can depend on, to actually throw the ball to, because, you want to work the middle of the field with Daniel Jones. That's like a safety net, a good tight end. I don't know what happened Bellinger. I don't know what he did or whatever, but for some reason, he's not the guy, this year or for right now. And that they're trying to work in Theo Johnson, the tight end from Penn State, the rookie guy. They're trying to work him in, but for some reason, it's just they're not connecting with the tight ends, and they really do need to. Uh, do that. And I thought, with Lawrence Cager, he could be the receiving tight end, but now he's out, and now they're working out all these other tight ends. They need to.
I think Byron paused ice there.
Get to the point
there
where
he is.
they're using one that they have.
Dave, do you need a tight end to succeed in this league, and do the Giants need one now?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely do. The way that they use tight ends, such a versatile piece. You look at all the top offenses in the league; almost all of them have, have a tight end they use, and part of that is you want to be able to run the ball and you want to be able to pass protect, and so you need someone in there that can block better than a tiny little slot receiver, and so I don't think any of the moves that they made today are gonna change, too much. It's more depth moves, but Byron talked about it. We got to get Theo Johnson involved. The Giants were really high on him, and you saw in Hard Knocks. Not only did Joe Schoen tell his dad to go draft Jaden Daniels, he said, "Listen, you're only going to get this job once. You go get Jaden Daniels." But the Giants really liked Theo Johnson. That was the number 2 tight end on their board, and they liked him. And so when he was available in the 4th, they were super excited. And he's a rare athlete. He's got some to learn as far as the tight end position, as far as being a route runner. But he's 6'5", and he runs a 4.56. He's a very good athlete. And they just got to find a way to get him involved. And teams are going to start keying in on Malik Neighbors. Like, they're not going to just let him go buck wild on him. Like, someone else is going to have to do something.
Yeah, they're for sure going to figure them out. You probably miss like the Evan Ingram days, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was bittersweet with Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram had a lot of drops and interceptions. And then he had a lot of time where he missed. Evan Ingram he's good his rookie year. And then he's had some so years. I miss the Jeremy Shockey days.
Oof.
That's what I miss.
That. Go ahead, Eric. You missed those days too.
I was saying when he said Jeremy Shockey was that guy coming out of Miami, and he had a swagger like no other. Like, you remember that back in the day they had Mark Rivaro.
Yeah,
Mark Rivaro did his thing. Like, that's the era that I'm from. So, and then like these guys nowadays, like you said, you can't depend on them. Like, name a tight end that you could say, okay, it's a Tony Gonzalez type that's out there right now. You can't depend on any of these guys. And the fact that
Kelsey's not doing well so far.
That's because his head is all stuck in love and all of that, and all of that's going on off the field. He's trying to figure out how famous he's going to be after football. So just like his brother, his brother's doing this thing with the commercials and the NFL and all of that other stuff. He's thinking about long term, not right now. So he wanted. Is he? Matter of fact, he'll be a Hall of Famer, wouldn't he? You think
he'll be Kelsey will be a Hall of Famer, and he's already got 3 rings. So
yeah, he's already solidified. So his thoughts is after, what I'm gonna do after, is he going to marry Taylor? Is he, all of those different things. But you don't have, getting back to what I was trying to say, is you don't have too many tight ends that's in the league where you could say, okay, that's the next Kelsey, or even that's the next Shockey. We don't have that right now. That's because the way that the offices are built. So, and my old saying, football don't really start until it leaves at the ground. So, and these are all preseason games to a certain extent. Just, posturing. So, and that's why I felt about what happened this past weekend against the Saints. They just walked into, I'm going to say they walked into a buzzsaw of some sort. Not fully, 4th quarter buzzsaw.
Yeah, which that segues perfectly to our next segment. Saquon Barkley and the Eagles emerged from a flood of Philadelphia-style scrutiny and delivered a masterclass on grinding out and closing out a physical defensive struggle in which a lot went wrong before it ended just right. Saquon rushed for fourth quarter touchdowns of 65 and 4 yards, and the Eagles rebounded from a maddening late game collapse 6 days earlier to beat the previous surging Saints 15-12 on Sunday. Eric, your thoughts over this matchup?
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. Coming into the game, I thought it was gonna be an issue because these guys was putting up 40 points a game. So I'd be a fool to think that we just gonna come in and run roughshod all over them. I just wanted to be competitive, so that way we could move to the next week. Because I know, when that dog don't hunt, I understand that. But we won. It was a lot of things that I didn't like that I saw, but it's like I said, we going through the steps of yes, this is the NFL season, but it still feel like preseason because some of the stuff that they doing is preseason like things. Like Nick with the want to be aggressive, but he don't know where he want to be aggressive at. Then all of a sudden you don't want to be aggressive, but you want to kick a 66-yard field goal. Like that's what we doing. Like make your mind up. It's either you in or you out. So that's one thing. But just the fact that, like I said, when you have superstars and you allow them to be superstars, and a guy like Saquon, listen, I knew that dude was fast, but I didn't know he was that damn fast. Like he was running like his feet was on fire.
And he's healthy too.
And
he's healthy.
Yes, he's super healthy. Well, our line has always been legit. I mean, they come from the school of the University of Coach Stout. So, I mean, once you're there, you learn how to pick up some blocks, you learn how to do some things. So, but what I'm gonna ask you guys is, and I want to hear from you guys. Don't know if you saw it or not, but was that a dirty hit or not?
Which one
when
exactly?
Devontae got hit. So he caught a pass. He wasn't going across the middle. It seemed to be that they was holding him up. Defensive lineman come down the field and clean him. And you clean him as whatever you think it is. But he hit him from the back. Knocked him out cold. Well, down there, knocked him out cold. He has to go in the concussion protocol. So we down 2 receivers. So for us to, like you said, win, that's cool. But now coming into this week, and I forgot who we have to play coming up. But coming into this week, we down both of our guys, starting receivers.
Yeah. Fire Dallas Goedert up, fantasy football.
Yeah, well, he did his thing. He had 170 yards receiving. And I don't think he had a touchdown. But he had 170 yards receiving. So we went to him because that was like, yo, pull in case of emergency. Because Jalen wasn't throwing to him at all last year for whatever reason. So that's where I'm at with it.
Did you see that hurt? Kind of hit Byron?
Yeah, I saw it. Playing defense, sometimes you're told to do that where you hold up the guy and you go ahead and blast. I've seen it, I've done it, and I don't think it was a dirty play, at all. You play to the whistle. But yeah, he is a little, he's not a big guy, at all. And that probably has something to do with a lot of it. But yeah, you play to the whistle. And that's what I thought the lineman was doing. But people get upset, at the NFL level because these guys are making all this money, and you figure they won't do that to each other. But he played to the whistle. He's probably going to get maybe like a secret fine from the NFL or whatever. But yeah, he played to the whistle, and that's what it looked like he did to me.
How about you, David? Did you see the hit? What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, we see these kind of plays where people push the pile and stuff like that. The difference here was, they were kind of carrying him back towards the line, and the defender, and it was a defensive lineman. It wasn't like it was a corner, came in and hit him. So,
right.
It's just one of those, like, if somebody gets hurt, it's going to be a penalty. And if somebody doesn't get hurt, they don't call it. But the ref should have called the play. Like, they had him wrapped up. His feet were in the air. If the refs call the play, we're not having the conversation. And
Right.
They need to do that. I mean, I've seen times where, like, running backs or quarterbacks are getting hit by the linemen. And, of course, it's cool whenever they push him an extra 5 yards. But I'm like, with all the concussions and stuff, imagine your running back gets taken out by your own lineman. It's if the refs need to call it, the play was dead.
Yeah, but this is what I was always told when I played, defense. Don't stand by the pile if you don't want to get hit. Because
Yeah, you definitely gonna get picked off.
Don't stand there by the pile because you're gonna get blasted.
Yeah, it was rough, and like you said, he's not a big dude, and that added to it because it was was it Peyton Turner that hit him?
I don't know. I'm gonna say it said Mack truck on the back of his jersey because that's what it looked like. Like a fly hitting a windshield. That's what it looked like.
Listen, I'm a Giants fan, but I don't like anyone getting hurt. And when I saw it, I was like, "Damn!" Like
Yeah.
knocked him out.
Yeah, how about that?
Would you guys?
I mean, all is good though because they said he may have to go on the concussion protocol. He may not have to. I guess when the injury report would come out, it'll come out tomorrow, I believe. So, or is that today?
David would know.
We get a lot of practice reports today.
Okay.
So he wasn't at practice today, but they typically you'll know a lot more information on Friday. I don't know if they're home or away. They're actually away. They're playing in Tampa Bay this week. So they'll tell you because Friday is not like huge like practice. A lot of times it's kind of a walkthrough, whatever, but they're going to travel. And so if a player travels with a team or doesn't travel with a team, that'll give you some more information. But today, practice reports. I'll see what I can find.
Yeah.
Can I ask y'all a question? Would you the decisions that Nick Sirianni made when he was out there to go for it both times on 4th down, would you have made that decision? Or do you think that was a bonehead decision? In Philly, we feel like, yo, you got to chill, bro. It seemed like he's trying to get himself fired. Is it just a Philly thing, or is it an overall thing? Like, yo, what is he doing?
Or is it
what is the perception outside of
analytics
Philly?
decision?
Say that again.
It could be a analytics decision.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean toward that.
So you'll go towards the numbers then, I guess.
Yeah, they probably saw the analytics. Hey, we have a good chance of making it. Let's go for it. What do you think, David?
We're not even doing the tush push any longer.
Well, yeah, because this guy's gone. Kelsey.
Yeah, Kelsey was the orchestrator of that.
They did pretty good with the tush push against Atlanta. But yeah, it's an analytics thing. I mean, at the end of the day, analytics is really big in football. And so they basically have a decision tree right there that says, 4th and 3 on the 50 on our side of the 50-yard line, we're going to go for it until we get to the 30-yard line. Then we're going to, if it's under 3 yards or whatever. But I mean, Kellen Moore, I'll just say this. Kellen Moore, he's had his highlights and his lowlights. Philly fans made a lot of jokes and had a lot of fun at his expense.
Oh, here we go. I gotta bring up old stuff.
I mean, and now you gotta erase some of those tweets and jokes,
right?
Because now he's your dude. And Kellen Moore has had some bad time management in big games in the past.
No, you're right. You got to deal with it. You're right.
What do you think, Byron?
Yeah, we saw some of the things, what he did when he was at Dallas, where he wanted to throw the ball 50, 60 times a game and, not turn around and give it, to the running back. And he basically, he really can't do that now because he does have that guy, I won't mention his name back there, running back. But, he's Kellen Moore. He'd rather throw the ball more than turn around and run the ball. And
before we get into the Bucks and Eagles game, Saints, David, they had a good close game against the Eagles. They beat the Cowboys last week. They beat Carolina at the time where anyone could beat Carolina. But this Saints team, the real deal. How do you see them already? Right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with any new offense, it's great to see them do well. You're going to see him do well, and no one's going to score 40 points every single week. So it's going to come back to earth at some point. But let's see how this offense looks in a couple weeks because now they got film. Now they're looking at it, and they're playing him a little different. This is the Kubiak offense, variation of the Shanahan offense, and it's playing really well. Kamara fits really well in this offense, and they have some really speedy receivers with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. So you get all the big uglies. They say that get the elephants marching one way, and then they turn around and throw the ball the other way. And Rashid Shaheed with a big touchdown in both games, that kind of opened everything up. And I think Kubiak is, if he keeps it on this rate, he's going to be one of the next head coaches. Really, and the defense has been looking good. I mean, the defense has been really good all year. And so it was a big letdown for them to miss out on this close game because they had every opportunity to win it. But I think they're going to be good. I mean, it's a winnable division. Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Saints, they're all decent. But, I mean, nobody is the clear-cut top, and then everyone's
no dominance,
Carolina.
Yeah, the Saints got to play Atlanta this weekend. Then they play the Chiefs, which is going to be an interesting game, see how closely they can get with the Chiefs.
Test.
Yeah, barometer test big time. They get the Bucks, as Dave said, another divisional rival. Then the Broncos, which they beat the Bucks this past weekend. I don't know if they're the real deal or not with Bo Nix.
The Broncos?
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, they got one win.
That's it. David. Byron, your thoughts over the Saints. You think they got something going on there?
Yeah, as long as David Carr doesn't go back to being Mr. Carr from back in the day.
Raiders Carr.
Yeah, that guy. And the running back, Kamara, and they got the good receivers, the defense is playing, pretty well. And they did, and I'm gonna throw my boy over there, Mr. Eric. They did give the blueprint as far as getting after Jalen Hurts. You got to run to the right, and he's not as effective. So they did give everybody, the blueprint, as far as how, his defense, but it also didn't help the fact that, both his, receivers were out. But yeah, the Saints, I think, are the real deal, even though they do have a Jersey kid on the opposite line of Ruiz, New Jersey kid.
Eric, do you have respect for the Saints?
Do I have I got respect for every NFL player that plays, but do I like them? No. No. The Saints did what they were supposed to do. Like I said earlier, it was coming in dropping 40 a game. They may have overlooked the Eagles because of their performance from last week. Do I feel like the Saints could start rolling again? Possible. It's possible. But that the NFC South, especially in that division, outside of these last 2 years, has always looked like trash. So I don't know. So hopefully they get back up on their feet and they learn from some of the mistakes that they made this past weekend by not digging themselves into a hole that they can't get out of. And if they don't, then they'll be the same old Saints that they were.
Same old Saints. Well, there you have it. News from David. Devontae Smith is in concussion protocol. So, FYI.
All right, time to go to work. Time to figure it out.
All right. The next game that we saw this week, the Washington Commanders beating the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals are now 0-3, but rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for a score in a remarkable, efficient performance. And the Commanders beat the Bengals 30-33. Byron, your thoughts over this Commanders team so far?
Offensively, they're a lot better, than people give them credit for. They still have the receivers and the running backs. And the only problem that I have with this kid is that he's kind of slight. He is really slight. And when the Giants did play him, he did get folded in half, the one play. So I don't think, they really shouldn't, have him running as much because he's a very efficient passer. Look what he did. as far as throwing a ball. But as far as like trying to, like run, I don't think that's a good idea. If he's in space, he's good to go. But if he has to try to run through somebody or whatever, it's not going to be pretty because he's not that big at all.
No, Tangles finished 21 of 23 for 54 yards. David, your thoughts over this game?
Yeah, Bengals are in trouble. Like Bengals are in some trouble. They on paper, you look at the Patriots game and the Washington game, and like you count those easy dubs. All right, we just gotta, take care of the division and we'll be all right. You're 0-3 after you had this pretty easy schedule to start. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kansas City and they played well against Kansas City. If they played that game against the Commanders and Patriots, they'd be 2-1. But they got too much drama with, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins contract, Joe Burrow. They're putting themselves in a really bad spot, and it's making this Super Bowl window is closing. 2 years ago they were at the Super Bowl. Now they're 0-3. So for me, that was this was a all right, get right game, go in there and start, making some noise. Now they're they lost that game, and that's tough.
Eric, your thoughts over the Commanders win over the Bengals, or the Bengals 0-3
I love what I saw out of the Commanders. I was about to call them Washington. But the reason why I like what I saw is because like when you next to your friend and he's a little bit taller than you and you try to stand up on your toes so you could look the same height as him. That's what they doing. They walking around right now and they feel good about themselves. Because Washington for a long time now, they were down in the dumps, with the ownership and things like that. So with this young man coming in and setting a new blaze, just stroking the fire there, and then he's doing things differently with the new managementship and all of that. They look like a contender in the NFC East, and that's good for us because now that's going to really sharpen our skills. The Giants as well as the Eagles. I don't know too much about the Cowboys. I ain't too much worried about them. It's just I'm more worried about just our group, our little thing that we got going on. Far as Joe Burrow, is he healthy? Like, is
David?
he healthy?
I heard he's healthy.
I don't think he's healthy. And then the contract stuff that they had going on with the receiver, as well as, they only get up to play when they play against KC for whatever reason. And it's a shame because they still think that it's last year or the year prior to that when they lost to KC. I think they went to the Super Bowl the year prior to. But it's a shame because their focus is not where it need to be. Like my man was saying, they got to get back focused. They can't keep worrying about the things they can't control. Not only that, they gotta really dig in deep because the NFL stand for not for long, and Joe Burrow keep messing around. He's not gonna be there that long. Somebody gonna be missing. It's either gonna be the receiver or him. They're gonna make a decision between the two.
Mr. Byron, closing words on this game.
They really can't afford to pay both of them because you figure they got a Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and you got Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is going in. And it also doesn't help the fact that they have probably the cheapest owner in the whole NFL who's going to squeeze, every dollar out because it is a small market, but they can't afford to pay all those guys like that. And I think, by them being, 0-3, they need to, straighten up quick. There's going to be a long season for them.
Very long season. Slow starts. I don't know about that. It might be a bust here. We'll see what happens with the Bengals if they could turn around. It's hard to get back from 0-3, right, David?
Yeah, I mean they were one of the only teams that they have expanded the playoffs with the 7-team playoffs. We've seen 6 teams that are 0-2 make the playoffs. Now they're 0-3. I don't think anybody has made it at this point. At that, it doesn't mean they can't do it, but it's probably a lot lower. And they're in a tough division. You got the Ravens. You got the Steelers, maybe the Browns aren't so tough, but I mean, it's a tough division.
Yeah, tough decision. Tough division. Steelers are 3-0, so we'll keep that in mind. Let's go to the other NFC East game. A must win for the Ravens. They were 0-2. They had to beat the Dallas Cowboys, and they did, 20-25. Lamar Jackson was early. I think the Cowboys had to come back and rally back. Derrick Henry ran for 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jackson accounted for 2 scores, and the Ravens held on for a 28-25 victory over the Cowboys in Texas. Jones, I saw you nod your head. Your thoughts over this matchup?
The best thing about that whole thing is Jerry Jones admitting pretty much that they couldn't afford to sign Derrick Henry, so they had to go back to the past and sign Elliott, and it's pretty much a mess. You have the defense is all in disarray. Mike is probably going to want to end up with the Eagles or whatever is going to happen, and it's just Dallas is just a mess. They can't stop the run, and and I think I've talked about this before, where now the problem is people running off tackle, and you got the smaller edge rushers are manning these defensive end spots, which Micah Parsons is. He's not a big guy, and you got a 330-pound right tackle or left tackle come at, and he's not going to be able to hold up. He's a great player. But the constant pounding of a big giant tackle, having him line up at defensive end instead of him linebacker or outside linebacker, wherever, is a recipe for disaster. And so far it's coming in because they're not stopping the run at all.
Easy. Winters, your thoughts over the Ravens being the Cowboys?
Oh man, listen, I enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm not even gonna lie, and that's just because I'm an Eagles fan. Now, as far as football wise, hey man, listen, this is a PG show, so what I really want to say is they put their foot really far up in there, and I loved every minute of it because all of that trash talk, all of that stuff that they bring to the table, how they them boys and how they America's team and all of these different reasons why they should be crowned the champions. Man, listen, soft as kitten shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go that far with it, but that's how I feel about them. Like these cats, man, they deserve everything that they get because of the simple fact that, like you said, you got Micah. He want to really be at home in Philly. He's from Harrisburg. He's from Pennsylvania. He really want to be here. Come on down. Stop pump faking. Stop going on your podcast talking about our guys. Stop worrying about what's going on here in Philadelphia. Just come on down. And then everybody else, far as like Ezekiel, I feel bad for him because they signed him and he a lame duck running back. Why you do that to that man? Now listen, he getting paid. I'm not mad at that. But you can't even use him on the fantasy draft. Like you couldn't my sister picked him up because she's a big Cowboys fan. And she hot. She 38 special hot. Because she said they're not running Zeke at all. They running some other guy. And I said, hey, listen, I that's why I said I want to learn about the fantasy stuff. So that way I could help her out next time when she picked that up. But no, I was happy with what I saw. Long story short. And it is what it is. It's Jay's world, ain't it?
It is. And that Giants game is looming big. Dave, Eric brought up fantasy. Yeah, what's going on with Zeke in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, Zeke's been going, down last few years, efficiency. There's a reason they let him go. He's a guy that was getting a lot of the, PFF stats are about, yards over expected, under expected, how efficient are they? And he was just getting less and less efficient, not breaking tackles, not getting yards after the contact. And, unless the lineman gave him 3 or 4 yards, he wasn't really gaining a lot. And so, this is a team I thought should have made a move for running back in the draft. They had every opportunity in the world. Everybody sat there in the 3rd round and thought, okay, all the running backs, almost all of them are still there. Who are they going to take? Nothing. Braylon Allen sat there and he went to the 4th round. Braylon Allen would have easily been the best running back on the Cowboys. They decided that they didn't want to do that. They bypassed on running back last year. This team is, they're making decisions where, like, if you're a rebuilding team, yeah, you don't go and invest high on a running back. But if you're a team that thinks that you're a contender or whatever, go and plop that. Like Braylon Allen in that offense would make a huge difference, and they're hurting for it. I do think they try to make a move. I think this is a team that notices Rico Dowdle ain't it, and Zeke Elliott ain't it, and they need something because now everybody's teeing off on CeeDee Lamb. They need something to balance out that offense. So I think they make a move. You could see a guy like a James Conner. You look at some of these other running backs that, are a little older. Maybe the team wants to get some draft capital for them. Maybe they go after someone like that at the trade deadline because they need something. I mean, I don't want to see it. I want to see the Cowboys lose every game. But if they're going to win, they need to do that. And then speaking of the Ravens, they were 0-2. They could have been right where the Bengals are at, and they almost blew this. They had a commanding lead, and they almost blew it, and that was tough.
Yeah, what's the deal with the Ravens, David? Do you think you guys see more sample here, or they're going to be in trouble this year?
I think they'll be all right. I like Lamar Jackson. I don't know what the heck they're doing with these tight ends. They're turning Mark Andrews into a right tackle. That's not very smart. That's why they're almost 0-3.
Yeah. How about you, Byron? You think Ravens can still win a Super Bowl?
Let's worry about them just getting to the playoffs first. But yeah, if they right the ship, who knows? But yeah, like you said that they're turning their tight end into, they can always send him to the Giants. Yeah, we'll take him. He's still very efficient. We could use him as a security blanket. But yeah, they need to, look like they right the ship, and they should be fine.
But the Derrick Henry thing has been working out, though, right, guys?
Yeah.
I like what I saw.
Yeah, Henry, the first 2 weeks, not very efficient, but he got in the end zone, and he's 3 weeks, 3 touchdowns. But last week he looked like old Derrick Henry. I mean, he stiff-armed the dude. I mean, one of the nicest guys too. I got to go to the combine and meet some of the players and stuff, and it was a rookie, Kaysen Carson. He put him into he stiff-armed him off the screen. And so you'll watch that highlight because Derrick Henry was a very vintage Derrick Henry, like he did to Josh Norman, just threw him out.
Oh, I gotta see this.
Eric wants to see it. Oh, there you go.
I actually turned it off because they was getting beat down. So I was like, man, I'm not gonna watch this. Like, but then I turned it back. It was like, oh, what happened in that short bit of time?
That's the NFL for you, right?
Well, no, you know what I was gonna say because you guys were I don't know how you feel about it. When I was watching that game, I had a stark. You've seen a stark difference in the AFC players compared to the NFC players. How much bigger the defensive line was compared to Dallas line. I don't know if it was just for that game itself, but big people beat up little people, especially on the football field, and that's what it looked like. So, and what I don't understand is, was it a selfish move that how you say his last name? Parsons? Micah
Parsons.
Was it a selfish move that he went to defensive end instead of staying at the position he had him at, where he was more eligible or liable to make better tackles, like be moved around a lot more? Or do you think it was great on him to say, look, I'm a defensive end, I'm gonna make my money, and regardless of what y'all think about me, I'm gonna stay here, but I'm destroying the rest of the defense?
I think it's a money thing.
So it was a me thing for him then?
Not because
this is a decision.
Yeah, because our defensive ends getting paid more than outside linebackers. So if he's listed as an outside linebacker, he ain't gonna make as much. But if you're a defensive end, which is like Nick Bosa and Myles Garrett and all those guys, they're making a ton of money.
So let me ask you this question then, since you played, and all of you guys, how do you feel about him? He play on Sunday, but then go on Monday and then talk trash. Sometimes about his own teammates and sometimes about the other team. How do you feel about that?
It sounds. I mean, the word out of Dallas is that Micah Parsons doesn't. People don't like him. It doesn't sound like he's very well liked in the locker room, personality wise.
He's not
I'm
a
not
locker
in the
room
locker
guy.
room. All that could just be, whatever. But some of the stuff he did at Penn State as well. I don't know if you guys know about some of the allegations and stuff, but he seems like he's got a different personality, and from what what
Off the
I've
field?
read or what I've heard, it's not.
Is it narcissism? Narcissism?
Yeah, like he just and it's immaturity. But like the stuff he did with the hazing and things like that at Penn State was very immature and very disgusting from what it sounded like. But here in Dallas, it just sounds like it's very, immature. And, they got a lot of veterans in that locker room that probably don't appreciate that stuff.
They say a tiger don't change the stripes overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. What do you think about that, Byron? Not being friendly in the locker room.
Yeah, the best. Well, the only thing he really has going for him is that he is their best defensive player. He's probably the best player, period. On the whole team.
In the league?
How
about for the NFL?
At what position?
Yeah, he's one of the
not
best.
at the end.
Nah, he's kind of like Lawrence Taylor. Remember? Well, I'm sure all the stuff that Lawrence Taylor did on and off the field, and it was tolerated. And back then, we didn't have social media the way it is now, where all the stuff that he was allegedly doing, would come to light. Because I'm sure if it was, the social media now with Lawrence Taylor, he probably would have been. He probably been 3 seasons and done.
Yeah,
suspensions, whatever. So it's just a different time. If as long as Micah Parsons gets out there and backs up, whatever he does, what can you really say to him?
And he's up in the contract negotiations next offseason, right, David?
I wouldn't sign him. I would not sign him.
Well, it's up to Jerry Jones. He see what was he up to. And also, Dak Prescott walked out after the game to the locker room. He said something. I forgot what he said. It wasn't positive.
Said, if you want to jump off, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, jump off the bandwagon. That's what. Okay.
He got paid already. He can say that.
Yeah. So he said to somebody, I don't know if it was a fan or somebody in the locker room, but he basically said, if you want to jump off, jump off.
Byron, your thoughts?
You got every right to say that.
Yeah, he got his right. He's the face of the organization. That's the way he feels, and that's what he wants to say. Go right ahead. He got his money.
He got paid.
Boy, did he.
All right. It's almost winding down. Let's go real quick on the Jaguars, Bills, Monday Night Football. Bills destroyed the Jaguars 47-10. That scoreline, Josh Allen threw for 4 touchdowns, Byron. And Trevor Lawrence not having a good season. Your thoughts over this matchup?
Let's see. A couple days ago, I saw something where they matched up Trevor Lawrence and Daniel. I'm gonna go back to that again. Daniel Jones statistics, like over 60 games or whatever it was. They're pretty much
not contract related, right?
Huh?
This is not contract related.
Yeah, no, but it's just weird that Doug Peterson, he got a second opportunity to do his thing down there with Jacksonville, and for some reason it seems like the wheels are falling off down there, and the owner of that team, I think he has a quick trigger where Doug Peterson might be getting fired down there if they don't straighten up and fly right.
Do you think he might be the first coach out?
I'll take Doug back.
I think he might be the first one out the door.
Interesting. Eric, your thoughts over the Jaguars' loss against Buffalo?
Well, if you mentioned Dougie P getting fired, he could come back home anytime he's ready. He get free beers and all of that in Philly, just off the Super Bowl win. But
an assistant coach with the Eagles.
Assistant, shit, he get. Oh, I'm sorry, assistant. He could be the head coach.
Oh,
like
wow.
I'm telling you, listen, man, listen. I'm trying to tell you, when Dougie P was here, it was fun. It was fun to watch. It made sense.
He ran good tight ship.
Say that again, coach. Say that again.
He ran like a good system there, I guess.
Yeah, it made sense. It made sense to the players. It made sense to the fans. it made sense to football. Some of this stuff that listen, I'm not on the fire Nick Sirianni train. Don't think that I am. I just wanted to make sense, you know. But I'm digressing. That was like watching two-hand touch football. It was fun to watch. Like Josh Allen, first of all, as big as he is, that's like Byron running full speed at you. I'm moving the hell out the way. I don't care what you say. So, but it was fun to watch, and I enjoyed it. So that's it for me.
Allen went 22-28 for 247 yards. Hey, your thoughts over this matchup?
Yeah,
what does it tell
the
you?
biggest thing was how good and dominant that Bills team looks. You know, everyone thought that offense was not going to look good without Stephon Diggs. They looked fine. And, you know, they made a big change last year, switching to Joe Brady. Joe Brady had success in Carolina, had success at LSU. You know, I got to talk to a lot of the players, and they really like Joe Brady. And then Josh Allen talked about the fact that he has a meeting, a players-only meeting, and he asked the receivers, what plays do you like? What plays do you don't like? And Joe Brady then puts that in the playbook. So it's very, you know, it's the players really enjoy that. They run the ball actually more under Joe Brady than they did under Dable and under Ken Dorsey. And it gives the offense some balance. They made a couple really good, you know, decisions last few years. They got Osiris Torrance from Florida, one of the best guards. And that really solidified that offensive line. It's helped them run the ball, pass protect. Because when Josh Allen was losing in the playoffs, it wasn't that he wasn't putting up points. He was putting up a lot of points, but they couldn't protect him. And so he's taking big hits, causing fumble turnovers. And that defense, I mean, I don't know how many defensive players you can actually name on the Buffalo Bills beyond Damar Hamlin. But that's a really good defense with a bunch of dudes that no one really knows who they are.
Mr. Jones, close it out for us for the Bills-Jaguars game.
Yeah, I think a couple of weeks ago I said something as far as Josh Allen being the guy, you know, in Buffalo, and as far as him being the best quarterback in, you know, the AFC East. And I'm going to stand by that for, you know, what, you know, he did last week.
Over Aaron Rodgers.
Over Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the AFC East.
Definitely displaying. He definitely looks different without Stephon Diggs. I like this Bills team. They're different. They're hustling a little bit more. And as Dave said, I think the assistant coach movement definitely is panning out for them, which leads us to the next segment. Who will be the last remaining undefeated team? We got the Bills undefeated, Chiefs, Steelers, Seahawks, and Vikings. David, from this list, who will be the last remaining undefeated team?
Oh man, well, if I had the schedule in front of me, might help. But I'm gonna go with the Chiefs as the last undefeated team. I don't know if the Chiefs have played against anybody in their division, but I know for a fact they got the Los Angeles Chargers this week, possibly Taylor Heineke at quarterback. Both the left tackle and right tackle are out. It's going to be a bloodbath. So I would put the house and the Chiefs winning this week.
They do play the Saints in 2 weeks. Does that change your mind?
No, I'll stick with the Chiefs. You know, for me, defense over everything, and their defense is really good, and their offense is pretty good as well.
Yeah, from this list, the Seahawks is the most surprising. But Eric, from this list, who will be the last remaining undefeated team?
Well, house money always go to the Chiefs, but I'm going to jump out there on the limb, and I'm gonna go with the PA guy. And the reason why I'm saying that is because he has a dynamic of two different quarterbacks that can do two different things. Now, we haven't seen if Russell can get out there, but the quarterback that he's been putting out there, and he didn't put his name on it yet, he looked pretty good. So
yeah, he's
I don't know
managing
their
well.
schedule. Say that again.
He is managing well so far.
He's managing well because sometimes coaching is not with the X's and O's. It's about how they make those players feel when they out there in the out there and in the midst of things. So right now, I'm gonna say the Steelers.
Steelers to remain the last undefeated team. Byron, from this list, who do you think will will be the highest remaining undefeated team?
You know what I'm gonna do, man. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna pick the
Yeah.
Vikings, man. But Sam Darnold, man.
I'm glad you brought them up.
That's like a love story, man, with this dude, man. You hear him bouncing out all over the place, man, and now look at him. He's got two real good receivers and a tight end when he comes back. And I just want him to see him to do well, so they could just rub it in the Jets' face.
So
Yeah,
spot
yeah, Dave.
track.
I want you to go to this one, Dave. What do you think about the Vikings?
Kevin O'Connell's a beast. Kevin O'Connell and LaFleur are absolutely showing off their coaching. I mean, they no matter who's the quarterback, they're winning games. Malik Willis, he's got no business winning games the way he's winning them, and he's doing it. But last year, Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, I mean, anybody, they were just winning games. And so I knew Sam Darnold was going to be okay. I didn't know if he'd be, this good. I'm telling everybody in Dynasty, buys JJ McCarthy. He's going to be good because Kevin O'Connell's just that good of a coach. But Spot Track said this: Sam Darnold is playing this season with Justin Jefferson so he can play the next 2 seasons with Malik Neighbors. Because the Giants probably are going to be on the market. They can get out of Daniel Jones' contract this year. And so it's very likely the Giants do that. They save like $60, $70 million. But they might reinvest that into Sam Darnold, which, could be a scary situation. Maybe he's the next, reinvigorated Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield kind of guy. But maybe he's Sam Darnold.
Eric, Minnesota Vikings, are they the real deal?
I mean, listen, they the real deal until they not. And what I like is the simple fact that he had a smile on his face when he was talking about Sam Darnold. Like Sam Darnold earned every inch of what he's getting right now. I mean, look at this guy. He was all over the place. Not only that, through injury, and now he's showing up along with the 2 coaches that you mentioned. Savants for right now. Until the playoffs come. And man, like I'm happy for him. I'm not a hater, so I'm happy for him right now.
Which of these? I mean, I was going to ask which teams is the most surprising. I think probably everyone will say Minnesota, but the Seahawks, David, what's going on there? I know they've had easy games, but is there? I mean, obviously they have a new coach, but is there something there
with the Seahawks?
Yeah, Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, they're another team that their GM is really good, and he turned Russell Wilson into a defense. He went and got a bunch of picks for Russell Wilson and a bunch of cap space. And then he went and made some great defensive selections. They got Byron Murphy from Texas. They got Witherspoon. They got I can't think of Reek Wolin. And then they got our guy Julian Love. And then Leonard Williams. So we got Giants balling all over the league, not on our team, but Barkley, McKinney, Williams, Love.
They're sprinkled around.
But like
Just like
Seahawks are good. It's and this offensive coordinator Ryan Grubbs, he comes from Washington, so he was the offensive coordinator for the Washington Huskies last year, and they went to the national championship game. The head coach went to Alabama, and he's been with that coach for a while. He was back here in Indiana with him, and now he's throwing the ball. DK Metcalf looks great. JSN looks great.
Lock it, yeah. And they play Detroit this Monday Night Football, so that'll be a big test for Seattle. See where they're at. Like David says, it'll be a barometer. See where they're at. So, sadly enough, Mercury Morris, former Miami Dolphins, passed away this past week, part of the undefeated Dolphins. Mr. Jones, do you remember much about Mercury Morris?
Yeah, number 22, man. Great kickoff returner, too. And, great player, my condolences, to his family and everything. But yeah, he was one of the big, he was a great back. Yeah.
Great back, 77 years old. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler, key part of the Miami's unbeaten 72 season, which remains the only undefeated campaign in the Super Bowl era. Morris also won a 2nd straight Super Bowl with the Dolphins, 73. So RAP, great guy, great player. That leads us to predictions. The only one I have tonight, is Cowboys at the Giants. Like we said, this game is looming big. The Cowboys only have one win. The Giants only has one win, but this game will be played at MetLife Stadium. Eric, your thoughts? Who's going to win this matchup?
You know who I'm not going to pick. So, G-Man, let's go. So
the only time that Eric picks the G-Men. And Mr. Jones, Byron, what are your thoughts over this matchup? Giants have momentum. Cowboys need to win.
Yeah, well, hopefully be able to throw the ball, because all the corners are hurt. I hope it rains, pouring down raining up there, so they could.
It could be a hurricane might be going up there.
Well, there you go. I guess they'll be playing in hurricane, but yeah, I got to see my G-men beat the Cowboys at least once.
Yeah, because a year ago wasn't good. Nasty. Dave Heilmann, your predictions. You're a Giants on. I mean, you are pretty objective. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I think Eric said it earlier, head over heart. Giants are my number one team. Whoever's playing against the Cowboys is my second favorite. But I do think, the Giants, I just don't have a whole lot of faith in this team. And the way that they've let us down against the Cowboys recently has been so, losing is one thing, but when you lose as bad as they did Monday night to start the season last year, I don't even want to go to work tomorrow. It was so bad. It was just so embarrassing. So I got, maybe I just a little PTSD over that still. So the Giants, I think last year, the Cowboys outscored us 75-14 in the two games. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
Yeah, it wasn't good last year. Dave, before we go, give us some a few fantasy picks for this weekend. What player that you're looking at for this weekend that will give you points and one maybe to pick up? I know waiver wires already happened, but what are your top picks for this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I already said his name. If Braylon Allen is available in your leagues, you need to pick him up. Not only if Breece Hall were to get hurt, Braylon Allen would be a top back, but Braylon Allen is really good, and he's become a key piece of that offense. But I'm gonna say, a sleeper. He's been coming on the last few weeks. Darnell Mooney looks really good. He was good in Chicago, but the offense was trash, and so he's been playing really well. So Darnell Mooney's kind of the guy he's been a sleeper. Not anyone else on the spot, but you can check out my article and let me know if you have any questions on online. Dynasty Dorks.
Is it .com, right? DynastyDorks.com.
No, just at Dynasty Dorks on Twitter, TikTok.
On Twitter.
DMs are open.
There have it. And we're going round robin here. Mr. Jones, is Carolina the real deal with the Red Rifle?
They're a lot better than what they were. But I still believe in Bryce Young. But yeah, they're a little bit better with him at the quarterback position.
Eric, Tennessee and Miami. What's going to happen there?
Tennessee probably going to win that because Miami is going through some ups and downs right now. They still stuck with the Tua thing. And I watched their quarterback last week. He was just in it. He's just in it for the money. He ain't really trying to play. He was like, all right, I got hit too hard. Somebody put a Band-Aid on it. Get me out of this thing. So, yeah, Tennessee probably mess around and win.
I would think Tyler Huntley's going to play, right, Byron, this weekend?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
David? Tyler
Who is it?
Is Huntley going to play and start for the Dolphins?
I think so. I think Snoop Huntley is going to be playing this weekend. Which
he got cut by Tennessee.
Yeah, and I don't know. Sometimes I know not everybody does this, but sometimes teams actually do right by the players. And we'll see. Mason Rudolph might be starting soon. I don't know if you noticed this, but Will Levis got cussed out by his coach the other day.
Yeah, I heard about that.
He's just making bonehead decisions, but
He's young,
yeah, he got cussed out. He's like, you can see, if you read the lips, he said, "What are you doing?" And
Sean Payton all over again.
Yeah, the next week he did it all over again. So he might, get the Bryce Young treatment. But Snoop Huntley he's been good. I know it's the Ravens, and that's a very good organization, and they protected him. But this is a pretty good offense, and anyone that has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on their fantasy teams, They do not want to see Skylar Thompson rolled out this week. It was ugly, and he got hurt too. So Huntley brings some, rushing ability, and he's a veteran, and so I think he can run this offense pretty well.
A lot of storylines going on this weekend. Good week 4. I've been looking at the games really, briefly. It's going to be a good weekend. So we'll see a lot of barometer tests. See the teams are really actually that good. Some real opponents. Before we go, contact information, Mr. Heilmann. What's the best way to reach you online?
At Dynasty Dorks, all one word. Hit me up on TikTok, Twitter. Any questions any questions you guys got for fantasy football or player props? Hit me up.
Yeah, and easy winners. What's the best way to reach you online?
Just on here. I don't
That's
really
it.
do online thing. Yeah.
And Mr. Byron doesn't do it either.
Nah, Facebook, that's it, man. I'll mess it up.
Byron, closing words before we head out on this beautiful Thursday night.
My prayers for everybody to be safe down in Florida, with the whole, hurricane coming through, everybody be safe. Don't do dumb things. They sit there and tell you don't ride through the water. That pretty much means don't do it. But everybody, my blessing, everybody be, safe down there in Florida.
Thanks a lot, Byron. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. We'll be okay, but I know people up in Tallahassee, Tampa area is going to be affected. But it's going to be interesting weekend. So we'll see how it happens. Victor will be back next week. He is on assignment tonight, so he'll be back and he'll has a lot to say about tight ends, the Eagles, and the Giants. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you coming on to the Jersey Boys Sportscast. Sports Talk. Cheers and God bless.
On digital radio. On the